Thank you. Sit down. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. But when you get to know me, you may not applaud. Just know that. But let me say hello to everybody that's watching all over the world, and just know that I'm honored to be here, really honored to be here. Just a real quick background. I'm 54 years of age. I've been married to the most, and I hope every husband would fight me on this, I've been married to the most incredible woman on the planet for 31 years. I asked her out 24 times in a row in college to go on a date, and she said no 24 times in a row. Consistency and persistency, that's cheap, but that's what happened. So I just kept with it, and we've got this gorgeous little soon-to-be 16-year-old daughter. So I'm very, very blessed. You can listen to introductions about somebody and all these accolades. Let me tell you, I'm a knucklehead in real life. When you get to know me, I know my faults better than anybody. But I also know what I do well, and I know what I'm passionate about. I remember when my daughter was 13 years old, I came home. I walked in the door, and she was so excited about these shoes she bought. And I mean, she's never come up to me and said, "Dad, look at my shoes." But she came up to me and she goes, "You got to look at these shoes." And I'm thinking, they're shoes, right? They're shoes. And she goes, "No, you don't understand. When I bought these shoes, some child somewhere in the world got a pair of shoes because I did this." She goes, "And they're called Tom's shoes." And I was just struck by that. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And that's when I first learned about social entrepreneurship. I went and started studying it. I understand that you need to identify a global crisis. You have to have a global crisis. This isn't a neighborhood problem, it's a global problem. You have to have an innovative, disruptive technology that can solve the problem. You have to tap into the passion that people have about what you're trying to accomplish. And then you have to be able to reward and incentivize those people that champion your cause. That's what social entrepreneurship is. Now, so my life goes on after that. 3 years later, we've been very blessed financially. Listen, there's got to be something bigger than just making money. There's got to be something bigger than just pictures on a dream board. I really believe that we all want to be remembered for doing something significant and making a difference. But I'm going through my life. I'm writing books. I'm speaking for companies. The American Red Cross. I had a blast. So it was great. And then I got a call from a gentleman by the name of Sam Castor. And Sam reached out to me, and he said, "Listen, are you familiar with Manatech?" I said, "Well, absolutely. I know about your products. I know the culture of your people. I mean, you have no idea how special you are." Now, you may think, "No, we do know." I'm telling you, you have no idea how special you are from a product standpoint, from a culture standpoint. So I knew about that. He said, "Well, we're in the midst of an evolution. We're in the midst of moving ourselves to a unique space. We are going to be a social entrepreneur company. That's who we are. And we need help in driving that mission." And it was so great because 3 years ago, that's when I first learned about social entrepreneurship. But here's what you need to know. Manatech is the only company in the world, the only social entrepreneur company that has a leverage-based income model. Tom's Shoes doesn't have one. The satisfaction my daughter gets is she buys the shoes. It would be great if Tom's Shoes says, "And if you refer people to us, we'll pay you." Because then you could count, because a leverage-based income model serves as a force multiplier that harnesses the power of people. It's the people that solve crisis. It's the people that come together in numbers. It's the people that make a big difference. You know, have you ever heard that statement that if you want to change the world, you have to first change yours? You ever heard that before? If you want to change the world, you have to first change yours. The problem with that is it aligns things in a sequence, that you can't change the world until you first change yours. And the problem that people have is they spend $100,000 on a college education. By the age of 40, the Bureau of Labor Statistics tells us that by the age of 40, you'll have 10 different jobs. If you're younger than 21, you'll have 12 to 15 jobs. And then at the age of 65, you'll have $32,000 income. You spend $100,000, travel through 10 to 15 jobs, and hopefully end up with enough to pay your bills. So how can you change the world if you can't change yours? And people lay in bed every night, all around the world. And they say to themselves, I'm so much better at my job, but yet it seems to be so much harder to do. And they worry about credit card debt. And they worry, listen, this isn't about big houses and rings and all that stuff. Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. But remember, empty plates don't feed starving children. Men and women with resources feed starving children. But they lay in bed with this frustration of I've got to worry about Visa. I've got to worry about MasterCard. I've got to worry about college loans. I've got to worry about making my car payment. I got to worry. It's hard to change the world when you're bogged down in trying to change yours. Now, here's what we have our hands on. The power of this social entrepreneur company, the one you're living in, is it allows you to do both of them at the exact same time. Nowhere else in the world can you do it. It allows you to do both at the exact same time. You earn more money. The more money you earn, the more children we can save. You save more children, the more money you earn. You can actually go to bed at night and know in your soul that you're doing something bigger than yourself. I did a conference call recently, and I was talking to people about this sense of fulfillment. And I was saying, what do you do after you have all you need? What do you do after you've taken these pictures down? What do you do? What do you do? And I want you to know something. You're in the midst of doing something that I had prayed I had seen 24 years ago. Because what I saw 24 years ago created a great lifestyle for me. But in the midst of creating a great lifestyle for my family, we didn't save any children. I can't look back on that and think I was a part of that. But I'm probably no different than you. I want my daughter to look at her dad one day and say, I am so proud of what you've done. That's where we are. That's where we are. We have taken this flag and we have planted it on a space that no one occupies. There is no social entrepreneur company in the world with a leverage-based income model that knows how to harness people like this one. None. There's none. You're living in a space where there's no one around you. But the question becomes, what do we do in that space? What do we do in the space? And I'm going to tell you something. As you go to bed at night, as you think about your life, as you think about the things you want to accomplish, listen, you have to dream big. You can't save 5 million children dreaming small. You can't save your own family dreaming small. You have to think big. And you have to see it. You never get what you want. You only ever get what you picture. It's what you see. You have to speak it. I was in Kenya recently on a safari. And maybe this is why this resonates with me. Because I've spent my career on boards and advisory committees for a lot of the PR committee for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I was on the Government Relations Board for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. The American Leadership Foundation dealt mostly with doing things with young people. I was on the board of advisor for an organization called Kids Inc. We dealt with critically ill children. A lot of these. So maybe it's I've got the coolest daughter on the planet, right? So maybe it's that thing we connect with. But I was in Kenya on safari, and it was a photographic safari, and it was great. But the last day on safari, we went into Nairobi. And we went to visit one of the worst slums in the world. And that's where I saw it for me. That's where, when you see it, that's where you realize that people aren't born into what we're born into. No matter how much you struggle, it's nothing. It's nothing. And I remember sitting there, and it just kind of burned this thing in your soul where you sit there and you watch these little kids with nothing. And then this guy named Sam Castor calls you. And you get to know Ray and Kevin and Stan and Roy and Terry, and you get to know these people, and you get to meet you, and you realize how big the heartbeat is here, how big this heart beats. So here's what I want you to think about, and I want this to be something that pursues you. One day, in a country we're not even in yet, you'll be there, and there'll be thousands of social entrepreneurs saving children and saving their own family, pursuing their dreams, accomplishing their goals, and helping us accomplish this grand mission at the same exact time. And you're going to walk in, and some woman or some gentleman is going to come up to you crying and wrap their arms around your neck and say, I'm on your team. You didn't even know it. I'm on your team. And you'll sit there in awe and shock and wonder how this happened. And then they'll tell you their story about how they were laying in bed at night worried about paying their bills. And because of Manatech and this great social entrepreneur company, they were able to not only pay off their bills, but to take care of their family like they never dreamed they would. And they'll tell you that story. And here's what's great. You'll hear their story. And you'll hear it because when it was time to set sail in the mission, you never looked back. Because there's something bigger for all of us to accomplish. But there's 5 million kids you may never meet. But they will remember you every night in their prayers. We are going to do something on a global scale that's never been done before. I did not come here to do anything less in my life. I want us all to be able to look back when we're done and look at each other and say, we did it. Look what we did. We took on a global crisis no one could touch because we have a technology nobody's got. You own it. This is the only company that owns it. Nobody else can do it. And every person here has a heartbeat that is so passionate, not just about this mission, but about their personal mission in life. And you're rewarded for your efforts. So I just want you to know, my wife and my daughter think this is the greatest thing in the world. When I told my daughter what I was going to do, she said, Dad, that's so incredible. I'm so proud of you. And I just want you to know, as you leave here, and those of you watching at home, I'm so proud to be on this journey with you. Because we're going to do something that's never been done before. We are going to do it. Don't you doubt for 1 minute that it's not going to happen. And it's about you. It's about you. I want you to personalize this like you've never personalized anything before in your life. This is about you. It's about your life. It's about knowing that you have done something great and significant. Molière said all men are alike in their dreams and all men are alike in the promises they make. What makes them different is what they do. Well, the flag is planted. Let's do. Thank you.